Hey guys, Tomba here. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about my top 3 favorite pieces of equipment when it comes to calisthenics. You get a lot of various exercises out of these, so I think they're great to have when you're starting off. Another great thing about the equipment I'm recommending here is that in total, it's all less than $100, so I think that's pretty good if you're just starting out. If you can get this equipment, like I said, lots of great exercises you can get with them, and they're fairly cheap. There'll be links below for other items that I talk about. Alright, let's get into the first piece of equipment here. The first item up that we have here are the dip bars, or they're also known as equalizer bars or sometimes high parallel bars. Right, if you guys saw the thumbnail, this was probably the least obscure object on there, right? The dip bars look exactly the same, their outline, as they do in their full form. So no surprises here.
Alright, let's get into some of these different exercises we can do here with the dip bars. So first one up, as the name suggests, are the dips. These are going to target your chest, your triceps, as well as your shoulders. These are great for building up stability, and they're an exercise that generally even beginners can start with doing full dips or even negatives if you're just getting started. Next up we have the L-sit. This is going to strengthen your legs, hip flexors, your core, and your arms. I actually have a video on this too, so you can check that out if you haven't already, if you want to know progressions for the L-sit. Now onto a pulling exercise. This is going to start hitting your back and your core. And then to make it more difficult, we can lift our legs off the ground and do some progressions toward the front lever. So working in some rowing motions, as well as to target core even more, doing some pulls to the inverted hang position.
Alright, next piece of equipment are resistance bands. Wow, these are great. Very versatile, right? These can be used in so many different ways, as you're going to see here in all the exercises that I show. One cool thing is that they can be used both to make exercises easier or harder for you. In most of the clips you'll see here in this video, resistance bands are used to make exercises easier for me to do. So these are great when you're a beginner or you're just working on progressions for harder moves. So I have these for planche and front lever, which are harder moves, and then also, right, in some of these clips here, I use them for the dips and for the pull-up, which are more foundational bodyweight exercises.
However, the bands can also be used to make exercises more difficult. So potentially, instead of adding weight to an exercise to make it more difficult, you can add a resistance band and try to fight against that.
Resistance bands also come in different measures of resistance, right? So most of the time I use the red ones. Generally companies also have a black one, a green one, a purple one, and maybe a blue one, right? And they're all different resistances. And those colors usually across different brands correlate to the same amount of resistance. So usually the light is the least amount of resistance and it stretches the farthest. And then I'm not sure whether it's black, purple, or green, but those also have generally more resistance than the red, and right, they stretch a bit less. Just make sure if you're looking for these online, you get the one that are in the loop formation, right? So one complete loop. There are other ones which can be used more for generally other pulling activities and exercises, and those come with handles on them. But just make sure if you're looking to get the ones that I use here, make sure you get the ones that are in a complete loop.
Now here I'm using the dip bar in a different format, but in combination with our resistance band, right? So we talked about some front lever progressions before. These are now full front lever holds, obviously with some assistance from the band, and I'm just showing off a different format you can use the band in here. So before it was under my waist and my feet, and now it's just under my feet. Again, with the dip bars as well, we're now doing dips. So just another way that assistance band can help you get to harder movements, especially when you're just starting out. They're also helpful for L-sits. So around the feet will help you keep your legs up if you don't have the strength yet in your hip flexors or your quads. Now into an exercise where we're actually using the resistance band in a format instead of helping us, it makes the exercise harder. We have these push-ups here where I put the band through both of my hands as well as around my back and just doing standard push-ups, right? And at the top of the movement especially is where it's giving me the most resistance. It's making it a bit harder for me to hit that high point. Onto the planche push-up. Here I have the bands. I think I have 2 of them around my waist, helping me with the movement. And you can use these for the regular planche as well, so just helping me maintain that static. All right, pull-ups, pretty straightforward. Now working on back and shoulders and arms. I also use these for stretching. So just to get warmed up, usually before I start working out, use the band, try to keep my arms locked out and straight, try to rotate at the shoulder, my arms fully behind me. So next we have the one arm chin up, and I'm just using the band as a bit of assistance. So you train one arm at a time, and the support hand grabs onto the resistance band, and you use it to get as much benefit as you need to help you pull yourself off the ground. And here's one other exercise. I was actually surprised when I first started doing these how hard they could be. Here I have 2 bands, but in the next clip I'm only going to use 1. So I was surprised when someone said you can also work out biceps with these as well. And it's true, it works. So here I am on the ground doing it. And in the next clip, I'm standing upright. And again, with them around my feet, I'm using them to work on my biceps. You can make this even harder by kind of pulling up any extra slack. So what I do here in a minute is I take any extra slack I can get with the resistance band. And these are then actually super effective at activating your bicep and making it hard to complete the exercise. You see me straining here a lot. And lastly, I use these also almost in a similar fashion for the pull-up, but for the muscle-up. So these are great when you're trying to especially learn, or if you're like me right now, I can only do 2 or 3 maybe reps without the band. So once I get weak after the first sets, I like to put the band on and try to go for more.
And last but certainly not least, we have the gymnastic rings. These are great. Where to start exactly? You can do so many different exercises with these. And the reason being is that, one, they're adjustable. And with this different setting and height, I can now get in different exercises and movements. So if these rings are at the top of the bar, I can do something more like chin-ups and pull-ups with them. When you move them more about mid-length here, I can now do things like dips and L-sits. When you move them lower, you can do exercises like handstands or push-ups or rows or chest flies, all of which I'm going to be showing in this video here. They're just extremely versatile. They're also quite challenging though, right? They have a lot of freedom. You can move them quite easily this way and that way. So it's very hard to stabilize yourself. These are quite unforgiving. And if you're just starting off, you're definitely going to be limited to the exercises that you can perform with it. So generally, I'm going to show push-ups here and some rows you can do with these. That's kind of what you're going to potentially be limited with at first. Maybe you can move on to dips and you can start trying for also pull-ups. You can do pull-ups. But some of the harder movements are going to definitely take a lot of training and a lot of time. Personally, I've only been using rings for the past few months and they still kick my ass frequently. However, I'm still enjoying my use with them. I've made some quick progress in just a few weeks with certain movements. I'm still trying to progress, obviously, and get better with them.
All right, on to the first exercise we have here, dips on rings. Like I noted earlier as well, with rings though, things are a bit more difficult just because you have to stabilize yourself more. So the exercise is a bit more challenging. We also have support holds. So these are great when you're just starting out as a beginner to just keep your arms locked out and see how long you can kind of stay in this position, this stationary position, and when you engage your core and everything as well. If you want to make it a bit more difficult, you could also go for rings turned out here that you see I do at the end. This makes things even harder. All right, push-ups. So these are great as well because if you can't do these initially, you can change the height of the rings. If you bring them up a bit higher, it makes it easier for you to work on. This is great just to get you initiated to working on the rings and just realizing how much you need to stabilize yourself. We now have L-sits on the ring, and the same thing, right? You could do these on the dip bars, but with the rings, they're more difficult. Onto some front lever work. You can also see here I'm doing more something dynamic, trying to keep my body steady as I lower myself down. Don't have the strength yet to hold at the bottom, but I can keep working on these lowers gradually, and these negatives will also strengthen my back and my shoulders so I can do the exercise completely. These are just some ring push-ups. These help strengthen your wrist. I cannot do these on my feet yet, so you see me taking these very slowly and on my knees. It kind of sucks sometimes if you fall while doing these, right? If you lose balance and the ring comes down, because you can land on your wrist and it could hurt for a few minutes there. So I've done that before, so I'm taking these very gradually and very slowly. Can also do some planche work here. So I'm just doing tuck planche. Not strong enough to kick out the legs yet, so do tuck planche as well. Another movement, chin ups and pull ups. So again, this is more difficult than it would be if I was just using the pull-up bar. And then lastly here we have some chest flies. I could have done a better job of coming a bit further down with these, but regardless, another good way to hit your chest as well as your arms and your shoulders.
So yeah, I encourage you to try out all these pieces of equipment if you haven't already. So try them out at a local gym or get them for yourself. They're great for home gyms. They're great pieces of equipment that will unlock dozens of different exercises that you can perform.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out today's video. 2 quick things before I go. 1, you guys should come check out my Twitch channel. There, I live stream my workouts every day, and those workouts consist of exercises like the ones you just saw in this video, ones that are more focused around building strength and muscle, or ones that are more focused around burning fat and enhancing cardio. Second thing, I also give answers to your fitness questions, so anything you ask me in chat about nutrition or working out, I'd be happy to answer. So yeah, if you'd like to interact with me at all, or you want some fitness advice, just come check out my Twitch stream. Link is down in the description. Thanks.